3 words. I want success. That is a band 5 answer to the question, what are your ambitions? 3 words, 0 detail, no structure, no language range. And I heard variations of it hundreds of times as an examiner. Now listen to this. I've set myself a few goals, actually. In the short term, I'm hoping to finish my degree and get some work experience in my field. Longer term, I'd eventually love to build something of my own, a small business maybe, or a project that genuinely makes a difference. I'm under no illusions that it'll be easy, but I think that's part of the appeal, honestly. Same question. One sounds like a fortune cookie, the other sounds like someone with a genuine inner life. And today, in the final episode of our Part 1 Quick Wins series, we're going to show you exactly how to talk about ambitions and dreams in a way that scores band 7 and above.
I'm Anthony, and that's Felicity, and this podcast is built on over a decade of real IELTS examiner experience. Thousands of actual tests. So when Felicity says she heard I want success hundreds of times, that's not an exaggeration. She really did. And those candidates didn't score well.
And Anthony, this one feels significant. Episode 29, the last of the Part 1 Quick Wins series. 8 topics, 8 episodes.
It does, and we've saved one of the best for last because the ambitions and dreams frame is one of the most open-ended in the whole exam. You can go anywhere with it, which means there's enormous opportunity and also a very specific set of traps. Let's get into it.
So, what questions actually come up in this frame? Examiners typically ask, what are your ambitions for the future? Or, more directly, do you have any particular dreams you'd like to achieve? They might also ask, have your ambitions changed as you've got older? Or, is it important to have ambitions? Why?
That last one is interesting. It flits from personal to abstract, which is a bit unusual for Part 1, but it can happen, especially with stronger candidates who the examiner wants to push a little.
Right, so we have personal ambitions, personal dreams, how ambitions change, and the abstract opinion question. 4 different angles, and there's one technique that works across all of them. Anthony, what is it?
Timeframes. The single biggest upgrade most candidates can make on this topic is to stop talking about the future as one blurry bundle, undifferentiated thing. I want to be successful someday. And start organizing it into short-term, medium-term, and longer-term goals. That structural clarity is exactly what examiners reward under fluency and coherence.
Yes, because what the examiner hears when you use timeframes is organized thinking. And organized thinking, expressed fluently, is what fluency and coherence actually means in practice.
Let's do the phrase toolkit. 6 phrases for this topic, all built to demonstrate future structures naturally.
Phrase 1. I've set myself the goal of. This is your anchor phrase. I've set myself the goal of completing a postgraduate qualification by the time I'm 30. Present perfect shows current relevance. Specific gives the examiner something to work with. Purposeful shows you as someone who plans.
Phrase 2. In the short term, I'm hoping to. This introduces your timeframe structure immediately. In the short term, I'm hoping to get my IELTS score and move into the next phase of my studies. Note, I'm hoping to is much more natural than I will. It hedges appropriately, which is actually more linguistically sophisticated.
Phrase 3. Ultimately, I'd love to. This is your long-term anchor. Ultimately, I'd love to work in a field where I feel genuinely useful. I'd love to is a conditional that sounds natural and personal. Far better than my dream is to be.
Phrase 4. I'm working towards. This is the connect phrase. It links your ambitions to your current behavior, which is one of the most powerful things you can do in an answer. I'm working towards building enough experience to eventually lead my own projects. This tells the examiner, I'm not just dreaming, I'm actually doing something about it.
That's so important. The connection between current action and future goal is what separates a vague answer from a coherent one. Examiners love it.
Phrase 5. If everything goes according to plan. A beautiful hedging phrase for future talk. If everything goes according to plan, I'd like to have my own small practice within the next decade. It's realistic, it's humble, and it sounds exactly like how thoughtful people actually talk about the future.
And phrase 6, this one is specifically for the abstract question, is it important to have ambitions? I'd argue that. I'd argue that ambitions, even vague ones, give direction to your daily choices. Without some sense of where you want to go, it's very easy to just drift. That's a developed, opinionated answer from a simple opener.
Okay, repeat after me moment. Say this out loud. Ready? In the short term, I'm hoping to. Go on, say it. In the short term, I'm hoping to. Now, finish it with something true from your own life. That's your Band 7 answer starter. Use it.
All right, let's do the full role play. I'll be the examiner.
Study.
Let's talk about ambitions and dreams. What are your ambitions for the future?
I've actually thought about this quite a bit lately. I think I'd separate it into short term and longer term, if that's okay. In the short term, I'm hoping to finish my current studies and get some practical experience in my field, just to really consolidate what I've been learning. And then longer term, I'd eventually love to build something of my own. I'm not sure exactly what shape that would take yet, but I've always been drawn to the idea of creating something rather than just working within someone else's structure. I'm working towards that, I suppose, in small ways, trying to develop skills and a network that might make it possible one day.
Have your ambitions changed as you've gotten older?
Significantly, yeah. When I was younger, late teens, early 20s, I had these quite large, vague ambitions. I want to be important, or I want to make a lot of money. Very unspecific. As I've gotten older, I think my ambitions have become smaller and more precise in a good way. Instead of I want to be successful, it's more like I want to do work that I find genuinely meaningful and have enough financial stability to not constantly worry. That feels more honest and probably more achievable.
Is it important to have ambitions, do you think?
I'd argue yes, though I think the type of ambition matters. Ambitions that are entirely about outcomes, money, status, recognition, I think they can be quite corrosive actually. They make your well being contingent on things you can't fully control. But ambitions that are about process, wanting to get better at something, wanting to contribute, wanting to understand something more deeply, those feel healthier and more sustaining. So, yes, I think ambitions are important, but the right kind of ambitions, maybe.
Stepping out of examiner mode. Okay, that was a masterclass. Can we just unpack the last answer for a second?
Go for it.
Ambitions that are entirely about outcomes can be quite corrosive. That's an original, sophisticated observation. Make your well-being contingent on things you can't fully control. Contingent on is a beautiful, precise collocation. And then the contrast structure, outcome ambitions versus process ambitions. That's exactly the kind of nuanced thinking that earns Band 8 in Part 3, let alone Part 1. And the hedging at the end, maybe. It's tiny, but it sounds so natural, so human.
And notice how the answers got progressively more developed. The first answer used time frame structure, short term and longer term. The second used a change over time arc, young Anthony versus older Anthony. The third moved into abstract reasoning with a clear position and counter consideration. Three completely different answer shapes, all part one.
Which shows that Part 1 isn't just warm-up, it's a full scoring opportunity, and candidates who treat it that way really do get rewarded.
Okay, band score progression. Same question. Do you have any particular dreams you'd like to achieve? Let's hear the level.
Band 5 to 6.
Yes, I want to travel the world. I want to have a good job and a nice house. These are my dreams. I think it is important to have dreams.
Okay, a good job and a nice house, extremely generic. No development, no specificity, no personal voice. I think it is important to have dreams is a non-answer. You're not actually saying anything. Band 5. Now, band 6 to 7.
Definitely. My main dream is to travel more. I haven't had many opportunities to do that yet. but I'd love to visit countries in South America and maybe parts of Africa. On a more practical level, I also dream of having a stable career that I actually enjoy, not just one that pays well. I think having both would be pretty ideal.
Better, not just one that pays well, that's a nuanced personal value, pretty ideal, natural, informal expression, some development, but the answer is still quite surface, listing dreams rather than developing them. That's band 6 to 7. Now, band 7 to 8.
There are a few actually. One that I keep coming back to is the idea of living abroad for a significant period, not as a tourist, but actually immersing myself in a different culture and way of life. I think it would change me in ways that are hard to anticipate in advance. Beyond that, I'd love to reach a point in my career where I have genuine autonomy, where I'm choosing the work I take on rather than just responding to whatever's given to me. I'm working towards both in different ways. It feels slow sometimes, but I think these things generally do.
Hard to anticipate in advance, sophisticated qualifier, genuine autonomy, precise vocabulary, responding to whatever's given to me, vivid and natural, and it feels slow sometimes, but I think these things generally do. That's a reflective, philosophical ending that gives the answer a real sense of voice. That's band 7 to 8. And the band 8 plus version?
Dreams feel like a complicated word to me, honestly. I think what I'm drawn to is less specific outcomes and more particular states of being. A state where I feel genuinely absorbed in work that matters, where the day goes quickly because I'm engaged, not because I'm distracted. A state where the people around me are growing. I'm aware that's quite abstract as a dream. I couldn't point to it on a map or a timeline. But I found that the more concrete I try to make my ambitions, the less they seem to motivate me. There's something about holding them lightly that keeps them alive, I suppose.
That is band 8 to 9. Particular states of being, completely original framing of the question. The day goes quickly because I'm engaged, not because I'm distracted. A contrast that's precise and surprising. Holding them lightly, a beautiful idiomatic metaphor, and the self-awareness. I'm aware that's quite abstract. That metacognitive commentary is exactly what very high bands sound like. The candidate is reflecting on their own answer as they give it.
And to be absolutely clear, that answer works because of the language, not because of some profound philosophy of ambition. If a candidate delivered that answer fluently and naturally in their IELTS test, they would earn those marks, full stop.
All right, we have reached quick wins time, and since this is the final episode of the Part 1 Quick Wins series, let's make these count.
Quick win 1. Structure your future with time frames. In the short term, longer term, ultimately. This three-part structure turns a vague answer into an organized, coherent response. It demonstrates planning vocabulary, it gives your answers shape, and it sounds like someone who has actually thought about their life. Use it every time.
Quick win 2. Hedge about the future. Never say, I will be successful, or I will start my own company. Say, I'm hoping to. I'd eventually love to, if everything goes according to plan. Hedging isn't weakness, it's linguistic sophistication. It also sounds more honest and more human, which builds connection with the examiner.
Quick win 3. Connect your dreams to your actions. The most powerful phrase in this episode was, I'm working towards it. It takes a dream and makes it credible because you're not just wishing, you're doing. Even if your actions are small, saying, I'm working towards that in small ways adds weight, authenticity, and grammatical range to your answer. It's the difference between a dreamer and a doer, and examiners can hear which one you are.
And on behalf of Anthony and I, thank you for following the Part 1 Quick Wins series all the way through. 8 episodes, 8 topics, from work and study all the way to ambitions and dreams. If you've been listening from the beginning, your Part 1 toolkit is now genuinely formidable.
But we are not done. Episode 30 is unlike any episode we've done so far. We're going to walk you through the entire IELTS speaking test, all 3 parts, all 14 minutes, with timing, strategy, and the sharpest phrases from across the whole series. Think of it as your ultimate pre test briefing. Subscribe now so you don't miss it, because if there's one episode to have in your pocket before test day, it's that one.
See you in the next one.